Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Top Producers Nation podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for agents who either are top producers or desire to be top producers in your desired market. We are powered locally by Tampa Bay Real Producers here in the Tampa Bay market, our local franchise, where we feature the top 500 producing realtors here in this local market on an annual basis. We also host a ton of events and have various things that we do for our local community here in Tampa Bay. So today we get to hang out with one of those local top producers in Tampa Bay who has been featured before in the Tampa Bay Real Producers magazine. That is none other than Karina Bell. How you living, Karina?
I am doing good. Thank you for asking, Don, and thank you for inviting me.
Of course, it's good to have you here for sure. Karina is with Realty 54. Is it 54 Realty or Realty 54?
54 Realty.
54 Realty. Let's get it right, Don. 54 Realty. I know Joe LaCicero and the team over there well, and you guys have a great reputation. Have done great work over the years. So let's talk a little bit about just your background and how you got into Tampa in the first place. I know that you've lived in some pretty exotic and cool locations, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. What was your background prior to getting here?
Okay, so I'm originally from Germany. I immigrated to the U.S. in 2006.
Okay.
I got licensed to be an agent in 2007.
Okay.
I worked there until...
What brought you to the States in 2006?
A practice marriage.
Okay. That's one way to get here. Absolutely.
And
Practice
then I built a pretty successful real estate career in Alamogordo, New Mexico. It is in the United States. I get asked all the time. It's right on the border.
You guys can Google it. Yep.
And I decided to stay for a little while and make some money. And then my plan was to move back to Germany. And then I met my husband. And we got married, and 3 kids later, it's cheaper to keep her, so I'm still here. From New Mexico,
Were you doing real estate in Germany before you moved, or no?
Yes.
You were? Okay, so you already had some real estate experience there.
Yeah.
And then when you came to the States, you knew that you wanted to get into real estate right away?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, kind of. I was recruited by the broker's mother from Coldwell Banker there. It was the biggest office in town, and she was after me. She was always like, you have to get licensed. You would be so perfect. And then I eventually did it and started working there and never looked back. Mm-hmm. And then we moved from New Mexico to North Carolina, to Colorado, to South Korea.
Wow.
Germany, and Tampa. And my husband now retired 72 days ago, but who's counting?
Military?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He retired out of the service, so we're no longer moving. And that was our goal when we knew we got orders to Tampa. Yes. It was a great ride. We had so much fun exploring the world. We got very lucky with good assignments. Mm-hmm. But, our kids are getting older. My oldest one is 12 now. And for her, it's no longer an adventure to constantly move. For her, friends are important. And
that's hard
things
for
like
that age specifically. They develop some great friendships, and then they have to leave. Yeah.
Once we found out we had
What branch did he serve in?
Air Force.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service, Mr. Bell out there. Absolutely. And so now, what was there something about Tampa that when you guys came here, I'm assuming you came here for military at first?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
We got stationed here. We knew this was going to be his last duty assignment. We knew he wanted to hit that button. And I kind of thought about getting back into real estate. I'm not going to lie. I was a little intimidated because I never sold in a city this big. Alamogordo and Germany, where I sold, was a lot smaller. Mm-hmm. And I knew there were 14,000 agents here. There are thousands of very good, very experienced agents. So I knew
there's even more than that if you count people who actually have licenses, but many of them don't do a single deal. So yeah.
So I was a little intimidated, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm just going to be me and work my butt off. And
seems like it's worked.
It is.
Karina did over 30 transactions last year, did over $14 million in business. So pretty solid year for 2024. You on track to beat that in 2025? How's this year looking?
I am. And hopefully it gets better. My husband just finished real estate school.
Nice.
So he's going to be joining me. Huh? Yes.
That's
I'm
exciting.
Excited. And I need help, so.
It's been just you so far?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have like a transactional assistant or anybody on the team?
Yes, I have a transaction coordinator, a listing coordinator, and a marketing team that does my marketing.
And so how did you hook up with 54 Realty?
So I was initially going to join a different brokerage, and the person that sold me our house when we moved here, because I wasn't licensed yet, right? So I found a really great agent that sold me our house, and I asked him about the brokerage, and he was like, well, you know what? You should really check out 54. A lot of people that start out there become really successful. And so I didn't have access to the MLS, so I went on Zillow, checked like agents production that are with them, and compared to different teams. I went and checked out the brokerage, and it was just the right fit for me.
Yeah, Joe's a great guy, and he does a lot of support, I know, with various systems and programs to try to help agents.
Yeah. I needed that, being out of the business, before moving here, I sold in Germany. Everything is different. We don't use Zillow. We don't have an MLS. There, buyers pay for everything, all the broker's compensation. So it's a completely different ballgame. So I needed that initial training too to get started again.
What would you say the biggest difference is between working in real estate in Germany versus the States? I know you mentioned a couple of things right there. Is there one that stands out to you?
Yes. So in Germany, people don't move like here in the US, right? The average American moves every 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
In Germany, it is so expensive to buy real estate that people usually buy once and stay there until they die. So you either build or buy, and we don't really have 30-year mortgages either. It's completely different than what we see here. What I dealt there with most was investors.
Okay.
Sold rental units and things like that, multifamily. That's what I mainly did there.
Do you have any preference in working with investors versus working with your typical retail buyers or sellers?
I will take my families all day, every day over investors, because you build more of don't get me wrong, I became good friends with my investors, but I love helping a family get into a home because you're helping somebody to their dream and not an investment.
It's much more of an emotional tie.
Correct.
For sure.
It's
on
more
the property.
personable.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense for sure. That's interesting. So what type of mortgages do they have in Germany?
So what people do there, you build a savings plan usually when you're 16, when you get your first job, like on the side, and your employer pays part into that, and so do you. And then when you go to school, same thing, you pay into that. And
so you're saving up for most of your life to buy a home cash?
Not 100% cash, but you'll have a very substantial down payment. So most people do that, and then they get a 10, 15-year mortgage for the remainder.
And anything longer than that's not even available, huh?
It could be, but really hard to get.
Interesting. Okay. Do you prefer your experience here in the U.S. versus Germany?
I do think here it makes it easier for people that are not set up from childhood to, get into a home.
Sure. Yeah.
So I do appreciate that, because here kind of everybody has a chance. If you work on your credit for a while, if you save a little bit of money or get the right agent that hooks you up with closing cost help and, down payment assistance.
A lot more programs to try to make it work for people.
Yes.
What, in your experience, is the biggest distinguishing difference or factor between working in a bigger market, like you're saying Tampa is, compared to the markets you're used to? Has that brought certain challenges that you had to overcome or experience, or have you liked it better for any reason? Like what's been that for you?
I actually liked it better. I didn't realize how much opportunity there is here. And like I said, I was so scared when I initially got started, and here in such a big city with so many people constantly moving, there's so much opportunity. You just got to get yourself out there.
And was the military network through your husband's, position, was that been a source of you developing your business in any way?
I'm kind of mad at him. So if you're watching this, you have not sent me one client since we moved here.
Get cracking, man. What's going on here?
Well, part of the problem, honestly, was he was in a leadership position. And when he gets like an airman moving in, to refer me would be kind of unethical.
A little conflict of interest, yeah.
Correct. So, no, he did not. But I would say 99.9% of my clients are military or military related, or were sent to me.
So that's still a pretty big niche for you.
Correct. It's a large niche. And that's what I enjoy doing. We've moved 11 times throughout my husband's career.
Totally.
I know all about VA process and, what it means to PCS, how to get ready for it. So that's what I do is I help people, and then they also refer me to their friends or colleagues coming in. So
yeah, no, we one of the things that we have been really focused on with our whole platform of Top Producers Nation is helping agents identify what we would call their USP, right? Unique selling proposition, and figuring out what is that audience that they can serve at the best levels. So you have a natural one there that you just described with the military and the entire veterans community, I would take it. In your experience, in what ways is it different in working with that community and that niche that you've been able to serve as compared to maybe a different type of market or client?
So what kind of helps is common experiences. You just heard me talk to Jason. We were both in South Korea. So we already have something to talk about, which kind of creates a sense of trust. Like I just sold a house to a family that is moving here this summer, and we actually were at two of the same duty stations. So we had a lot to talk about. We had a lot in common, and it kind of builds a relationship from the get-go. And builds that trust because they can relate to me and I can relate to them.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And because you've moved as much as you have, I mean, that's not easy for people to have to deal with. And so you can always kind of relate to even the emotional side that's tied into that, I guess you would say, right?
Yeah.
In all the places that you've been, where's Tampa rank in terms of your list of favorites? Is it number one on the list?
It's absolutely number 100.
And you're not just saying that you live here?
So initially we were, if you look at my phone number, I have a San Antonio phone number.
Yeah.
We were going to retire there. That was our initial goal. And we kind of are sad we're not, because my husband's family is there and we would have loved for the kids to have family close by. But now that I'm established here and we're really loving it, our kids, are involved in the community. I am involved in the community. So we're going to stay. We really love it.
Yeah. How exactly did you build that network with the military community if it wasn't just coming directly through referrals from your husband necessarily? Were there certain things that you had to do to be able to get into that community? What did that look like?
Absolutely. So mainly social media. I would say 95% of my clients from social media.
Okay.
So I'm very active on Instagram.
What types of content are you posting?
A good mix out of business and personal life. I actually post a lot about my personal life. I'm always in my story. The other agents in my office
as a
always
military spouse, like is it that angle or just in general?
Just about me and my life, what I'm doing. On the way here, I did a quick story. Hey, I'm on the way to my first podcast. Things like that. Because people can relate to you or feel like they already know you before they meet you.
Yep.
I just had a family reach out to me, or a girl, they're wanting to buy their first home, and she's followed me on Instagram for almost a year now. And she said, she said to my lender after she spoke with her, Karina is exactly how I imagined her from her social media. So to me, that lets me know I'm doing it right. I'm showing the world who I am. And, if there's one tip I can give other agents, like be consistent, be yourself, and look at yourself if you're a peer professional to your audience. Not only do you have to be a likable person, but you have to come across as knowledgeable and professional.
For sure. And so it sounds like, if I'm hearing you correctly, the content that you've been kind of used to posting on social media in some way has attracted the veteran or military community. Right. Is that just because you're just being honest about, hey, we're doing this today. We have this military function. We, this is what I've experienced as a military wife,
Absolutely.
Yada, yada. So you're just kind of talking that stuff out loud, right?
Yep.
Living your life through social media as well, being genuine about it. And because of that, people who are also in that same niche are attracted to that story, can resonate with the story. And that's ultimately what leads to the connection. Is that a fair
I think so.
assumption?
And I would say a mixture of that and my family life. I also post things that I do with my children.
Yep.
And of course my husband too. But, I try to be as transparent as possible without always being stuck on social media. So if I don't reply to comments quickly, that's why, I do post, but I'm not on there all the time because I'm also working.
You might have mentioned this if I didn't hear it, but what percentage of your business would you say comes through your social media channels? Do you know?
I would say 99.9%.
Wow, so it's pretty high. So that's been kind of a go-to for you.
Correct. I'm fairly new here. I really got started working January of 2024.
Yep.
So I'm just now starting to get like the referrals from my other clients, where they send me their friends and family.
Yep.
But everything else is from social media. And I always get a lot from social media where other people are telling somebody that's asking for an agent, they're telling them about me.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive that you were able to do, what you did in your first year here, right, in Tampa. It seems like social media was the main driver, right,
Correct.
for how you got there with 30 plus deals, over 14 million in volume, really just building that brand on social media. Do you have a favorite platform that you use?
Given that I'm 45 years old, it's absolutely Facebook.
Okay.
I do post just as much on Instagram because I know the younger crowd is more on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
nowadays it's all meta anyway, so it's
correct.
one and the same.
So I usually post on Instagram and it automatically posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't do TikTok yet. I'm planning on it. I don't do YouTube yet. I'm planning on it, but right now I don't have the time. So maybe
imagine when you do add those
there.
things. I mean, you're blowing up already on just Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So is it mostly kind of reel-based content,
It's
stories? Do you have a philosophy at all on the types of content and how often you post, that kind of thing?
How often I post? I really want to post every day, but I do not because I simply do not have the time. I work a lot. I have 3 children at home, and I don't get to post every day, but I try to be very consistent, at least 4 to 5 times a week. I post a mixture of things that I put under contract. And when I post something about that, I just don't just post a picture saying under contract, but I post something about the deal that I got from my clients. About 9 times out of 10, it's military families, right? So that, I got to help another family that serves, and, incorporate them into that post. And then I post stuff that I'm doing with my children. And I would say I do about 60% business, 40% personal on my feed. And then in my stories.
All under the same account though, right?
Correct.
It's not like you use a business account and a personal account.
It's all together.
Yep.
It's all together because I want the world to see who I am as a person and not just as an agent. And then in my stories, that's usually where I do I'm going to call it freelance talk, where I talk about what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm eating, things like that. That's usually in my stories.
Is that usually like one story a day or a couple times a day,
It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm having a cool day, there'll be like 5 or 6 things. Or if I see something funny, I would post that to my story, So I would say in my story, I post more than on my feed. Yes.
How about Reels? Do you tap into that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you use Reels for?
To show off properties, of course. I try to do educational reels from time to time, but I'm not as consistent with that as I would like to be.
Okay. So it's interesting because there are different people's opinions as to like how they want to utilize these different strategies. And so that's why I kind of asked just your thoughts, and it's obviously worked for you, right? Whatever strategy you've been doing. So it's cool to hear what yours is. And it's not like something that's crazy impossible for anybody to implement, honestly, right? If they're able to just have some consistency with it and be genuine and be comfortable on camera enough to drop a couple of stories. And then once you do it a few times, it gets a little easier, you know?
Absolutely.
Understanding that there is a difference between the stories and the reels and how to maybe have a distinguishing factor between those two things. And I think what you just said makes a lot of sense, right? Stories being maybe more towards just personal updates, personal experiences, personal observations versus reels being a little bit more evergreen content that you want to live out there, listing videos, things of that nature.
I feel like in the stories, people think that get the feeling that I'm speaking to them versus, in a reel, it's more like, hey, this is, what's going on.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's more promotional. So the stories to me is more personable.
What role, if any, has like networking played in? I know that with a lot of different veterans organizations and even charities and different causes, they have events and they do a lot of different things to try to spread, either raise money sometimes or just spread the word. Has that played any role in you in terms of your business and being participating in these things?
So when I go to events or if I volunteer somewhere, I don't volunteer as Karina Bell, the real estate agent. I don't even mention it to people, to be honest, because we're all nosy by human nature.
Sure.
If I meet, a young lady somewhere and we're talking, 9 times out of 10, they're going to look me up on Instagram or Facebook anyways.
Yep.
So then they see it. So I don't shove it down people's throats that I am a real estate agent. I'm also very involved in our Facebook group from the neighborhood, for example. But I'm more that helpful neighbor that just gives a tip here and there, or if somebody's looking for a plumber, I'll send them somebody great. And that has helped me secure listings too, just by being helpful versus shoving down the throat. Like I would never, ever post on social media, hey, I'm an agent, use me.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge turnoff for me.
Are there any particular organizations or causes that you guys support or that you feel passionate about within the military community?
I wouldn't say any particular ones. We try to go to most of the events that they have on base, because they're also a lot of fun. The kids enjoy them.
Yep.
But I can't say that there's any particular ones. But my financial advisor has told me that I need to get involved in one thing.
Wants you to focus that energy, huh? Do you guys live in South Tampa?
No, we live in Riverview.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes.
That's not that far, I guess, from the base, right?
My husband hated the commute. He was miserable for about 3 months and then got used to it. But
yeah, that's one thing about Tampa. That the traffic might be a little bit different than some of these other markets. Huh?
Man. But you know what? For us, the good outweighs the commute. My kids go horse riding there. My son is involved in soccer at Apollo Beach where they have that huge turf field.
Nice.
So we like it, minus the traffic.
Yeah. Have you? I've always wanted to go to Germany to drive on the Autobahn, and I have not done that yet. It's on my list.
That's when you learn how to really drive.
They float out there, right?
You drive as fast as your car can go. So when you're in driving school,
as fast as your car could go.
Yes,
I like
when
that.
you're in driving school, you have to hit at least 130 kilometers per hour.
Which the equivalent to that would be what?
Maybe
90. Is that right, Rob? You're the math guy. I'm going to throw that. We got
don't
Google
know.
in the background doing conversions as we speak. 80.7. 80?
Okay.
Oh, that's nothing. 80,
It's
I mean,
not.
come on now. That's
But
kind of normal.
for somebody that just learned driving,
What would it be to
remember
go
it
100
was
miles an hour in kilometers?
100
Yes.
miles per hour in kilometers?
100 miles per hour in kilometers would be? What's the equivalent to that? Attention. Spare.
So I'm not going to tell you.
160.
That's average for
Do
me.
people go 160 out there pretty easily?
That's my
Oh,
average.
absolutely.
That's the average at the Autobahn?
I think
Yeah.
the
Correct.
biggest distinction about the Autobahn driving is the following of rules and tolerance for understanding that if somebody's flashing their lights at you, it
You
means
move.
you need to move.
Right.
Quickly.
Now.
Get out of my way.
Exactly.
And that's a huge difference between driving in the States and in Germany. I'm not going to lie, it drives me bananas if there's a slow car in the left lane, because in Germany we don't do that.
Sure.
Out of courtesy, if you're not going
Yeah, they
fast,
actually know how to drive out
you,
there,
you
right?
stay out in the right, because
Yeah, the
also, let's
entitlement.
be real, if you get in an accident doing 120 miles an hour,
It could be trouble.
it could be bad.
Yeah.
So people drive more thoughtful. Or if you're on the right lane and somebody is merging in, if there's nobody else coming from behind you, you automatically move over and let them
Yeah.
merge. So
Is there no speed limit? Is that true?
some areas of the Autobahns have speed limits,
Okay.
and if you go over them, it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
I've had a few
Entering
tickets.
and exiting cities, right? It's like when you're coming into like a very
Correct, or
congested area.
close to cities to not have the noise. For the noise reduction, they will keep it at like 130 or 135.
What part of Germany were you from?
Which is still like 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am
Slow.
originally
They're going real
from
slow.
Bitburg. It's right by Trier, and Trier is the oldest city in Germany. I grew up, 40-minute drive to Luxembourg City,
Oh, wow.
40-minute drive to the Netherlands and Belgium, hour and a half to France, 4 hours to Paris.
Nice.
So
I was hoping last year, I'm a football fan, and baseball is my number one sport, but I also like football, and I'm from the New York area, so my Giants were playing in Munich last year.
how cool.
And I really wanted to try to make it work to fly out there and spend like a week and go to the game in Munich, but also try to get on the Autobahn, drive to Berlin. I kind of had like 4 or 5 different places mapped out that I wanted to try to hit up. And it was just the way that our calendar worked out with other family stuff we had. It just didn't work out. So now I got to wait for the next time.
And then before you go, you hit me up. I'll give you all the good places
I
to
will
go.
do that. I will do that.
Especially
'cause-
if you're down south, you got to hit up Switzerland. Switzerland and Austria.
Yeah, that was kind of how I was going to end it, actually, was going through some of the Alps down there and being close enough to Austria that we can go visit a few things down there. So I was looking forward to it. One of these days we'll get out there.
I know all the cool spots for the kiddos.
Plus, it would be, this technically would have been the first week in November, but I think like sometimes it could be in October if I go for the football season.
The worst time to go to Germany.
Oktoberfest is going on in Munich, right? And that around that same time, I would think.
Oktoberfest is in September.
It is always September? It doesn't go into October at all?
It might, depending on how it hits. Okay. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, weather-wise, it's the worst time to go. Huh? Bring umbrellas, raincoats, rain boots.
It's like Seattle.
That's the rainy season.
Oh, yes.
Rainy.
You will not see the sun for weeks because it's gloomy. Yeah. So I don't miss that.
Sounds fun. Yeah. What's the best time to go? Summer?
Early summer. Like, I don't know. Like now, I talked to my parents 2 days ago, and they're like, it's cold and raining, you know. Usually we have the best weather May and June.
Do you still have a lot of family over there?
Everybody is there. So I have my parents, my sister, and a few cousins there, and 2 uncles. And then I have a lot of family in Switzerland.
How often do you get out there?
We just went last summer and are planning on going again for Christmas.
Nice. And so your kids
I can see the
love
Christmas
it out there?
Markets.
They weren't born there, right? They were
no,
born in the
my
States?
kids were born all over. So I had 1 kid in each state where we live pretty much, except for Florida, and we're not having any more. But my kids loved it. They loved the freedom that they had there. Yeah. You know, in Germany, my kids were, of course, a lot younger. We moved here 2 years ago. Yeah.
It'll be 2 years in January, you said?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in July.
Okay.
But my kids, they could go to the park by themselves. Mm-hmm. I would give them a hammer and nails. Here, go in the woods, build a tree house with all the other little neighborhood kids. You know, at the ages of.
Sounds like the way things used to be here in the States in certain areas.
I loved that they had that experience. Yeah. But we're also pretty lucky in our community. My kids play outside all day long with the neighbor kids. So
yeah. We're the same way. We live up in Ballantrae, up in Land O'Lakes, and our kids have a lot of neighborhood friends. So it is nice to let them just play outside and enjoy the time.
And that was my biggest.
You have 3, right?
Yes.
3 children. How old are they now?
My oldest one is 12. Then I have a 9-year-old. Those are my 2 girls, and then my youngest is 6.
There you go.
And he is my husband's boy.
There you go.
Even though he's a total mama's boy.
we have 6 at our house, but about the same age.
Nice.
We have ones right. My oldest is 11. And so we have 11 and under. Almost every age that you can imagine is kind of carried in our house under 11. I love it. But it's a bit of a zoo for sure. But that's fun. So what do you guys love to do for fun when you're just kind of hanging out and not jamming so much in real estate?
We have a membership to Topgolf.
Nice.
We love Topgolf with the kids. We have a membership for what is that amusement park called? Busch Gardens, you know, we go there, or the Adventure Island. We love beach days with our friends. Nice. We have a lot of neighborhood events that we do. We have like a group of friends within the neighborhood, and we just, for example, had a field day where we just planned a bunch of different outdoor games, and it was, you know, I think we were 7 or 8 families, and we had a blast.
That's cool. I was mentioning to Joe yesterday that we're looking to do a Tampa Bay Real Producers Olympics Day.
Oh my gosh,
in the fall,
I'll be there.
Which 54 Realty hopefully would have their own team, right? And that you could participate obviously on that team, and we'll have friendly competitions with I think 8 different games that we've already identified. So there'll be more to come on that, but we're excited about it.
I love that because you do know real estate agents, we're all very competitive.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. We've never done that before, and we've had this idea for a while, and I think it's time to kind of put it to work, and we'll get food trucks and different sponsors and stuff there. But I think it would be kind of neat to have some.
Yes,
we'll do like Olympic style with gold medals, silver medals, bronze, and so all that jazz.
Bring it on.
Yeah, it should be fun. I look forward to it for sure. All right, couple rapid fire questions for you, Karina. Number 1. Do you have a favorite book or author, seminar that you've ever attended that you feel like has made an impact on you, personally or professionally?
No. You know, I wish I had more time to read. I really do. What I do is I listen to a crap ton of podcasts.
Cool. Do you have a favorite podcast?
Top Producers Nation.
Oh, of course. She plays the game well. She knows what she's doing.
No, there's a few that I like to listen to. I can't say that I have a favorite one. I just kind of, you know, if I if somebody catches my interest that is on some podcast, I look at other podcasts that they did.
Do you have a topic that you're passionate about? Do you like a business podcasts or self-development or financial?
I
or
do a
else?
mixture of business, how to better myself and my productivity, to self-development, because I struggle a lot of times with time management and, taking enough time from my children, obviously. So I do a mixture of both.
Makes sense. Yeah, there's an OG in that space called Brian Tracy. Ever hear of him?
Of course.
Yeah, I remember listening to a lot. I actually haven't listened to a lot of his stuff for years now, to be honest, but he has a lot of great content that he's contributed over the years, especially in that space of human development, productivity, making sure your time management skills are top notch. And so I remember developing a lot of that when early in my sales career, for sure. So he's always an OG out there for people who might want a resource to check out.
Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
So right now we are watching, what is it called? The Handmaid's Tale. My husband and I don't watch a lot of TV. Again, once I stop working, then I put the kids to bed. So we have like our shows that we watch while we were in bed, and 9 times out of 10, I fall asleep before the episode ends. So it takes us forever to make it through a season. But right now we're watching that. I like it. We also love to watch Survivor.
Oh, yeah. That thing's been around forever.
And we've been watching it.
Keeps on coming out.
Since
we
met.
Like 25 years now or something?
Yeah. Since we met in 2009, we've been huge Survivor fans. And we always say, we got to go on that show. But
hey, that could be a nice little bonding experience with you and the hubby.
I need to be in better shape. I need to go to the gym.
I wonder what the process is like to be able to make that show. I'm sure there's
you
fairly
have to do
rigorous.
like a video application kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I never looked into it.
They probably bring you in for a tryout or something.
As of May 2025, it is currently in its 48th season, with 701 episodes having been already aired.
So they probably do 2 seasons a year.
About, yeah.
Probably that'd be about. I think it's been around about 20, 25 years. I think so.
Yeah, I love it. And my husband and I are both very
2000.
Yeah, 25 years.
We're very competitive with each other. So
I've never watched a season. Can you believe that?
Really?
Never. No. I've seen episodes.
Yeah.
But I've never watched just like a full season. I guess I haven't ever been a huge Survivor fan. But even though when I watched the episodes, I was always fascinated by the stuff that they were doing. So I probably could enjoy a full season if I really wanted to catch up on it.
Yeah, we get pretty serious about it. We each usually have our own person that we think is going to win, and then if we
become the fan.
Yes.
That's funny. All right, so here's a question for you as we'll put a bow here soon on our episode and we wrap up moving forward here. But I always find it fascinating to think about the legacies that we leave, right? And one day, hopefully many, many years from now, when you're thinking about what you'd want to be most remembered for, personally or professionally, what are some thoughts that come to mind that would matter most to you for that question?
So professionally, that's really easy. To me, it's not how many houses I sell, how much money I make, but how many people I help. And that doesn't just go for my clients that I sell homes to. It's also with other agents. I really love helping new agents that are new to the business, get their business started.
Nice.
Kind of give them tips on how to market themselves, how to do social media. I'm actually doing a social media class in July through my brokerage because I really enjoy that, because I believe if I moved here and in my first year I was this successful, everybody can do it.
Totally.
I'm no different than you or the person down the street. We're all the same, and we're all given the same opportunities and tools. Mm-hmm. We just have to know how to implement them. Mm-hmm. So that is my goal, is to help others. I'm not one of the agents that get scared about competition, because I believe in a city this big, anybody that wants to be successful and that is willing to put in the work can do it.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is the Top Producers Nation platform that we're focused on. And a lot of that is geared towards the reality that many agents struggle in this industry, right? So wanting to provide more resources, more support, not necessarily tied to one particular brokerage even, but just the idea of there are so many different ways for agents to learn what they need to learn in this business. And of course, there's a lot of free content on YouTube or anywhere that if someone is passionate enough to want to find it, they can find it. But I also want to try to package certain things together in a way that can be digestible easily, and hopefully implemented, right? Easier possibly than what they might have been exposed to. So there's a bunch of stuff that we're already putting together with our online communities, including weekly group coaching opportunities. So I would love to have you on actually on a call, because I think there's a ton of value in the way that you crushed your first year in Tampa as an example, right? So focusing in on how you did that and what your first year was really like and some of the things that worked for you. We've talked about some of that already on the show. But we do these calls Tuesdays at 12 o'clock. We call them our Top Producers Nation training calls. So I'll have to reach out to you. Maybe we can get you to jump on.
Absolutely. I'll share all my secrets. That's one thing I really enjoy. It's like I said, I'm no different than anybody else that is in this business. And if I can do it, so can they. Absolutely. No, I love that attitude. It's when you look at the data, even just locally in Tampa Bay, and I share this on our panels a lot, there was almost 24,000 agents who were licensed last year, right? In Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco County, those three counties. And almost 10,000 of those 24,000 didn't even do a single deal, right? And that could just be some of those, really aren't serious agents, obviously, and they didn't even necessarily attempt to do a deal. Some of them, though, generally wanted to try to make money, right, in real estate, and they didn't really know how. They couldn't get traction. They failed at it. And then there was another like 6,000 or 7,000 on the data who did 2 deals or less. They still didn't, they weren't very successful, right? You can't live off of that. And so I really looked at the data, broke down kind of like off the top of my head to be like in the top 5,000. It was something like they needed to be at least doing at least 5 deals or more, right? That's all it took to get into like the top 5,000 agents. And to be into the top 10,000 agents, it was like 10 deals or more, right? And then to be a top 1,000 producer, I believe the number was right around 20. It was like 20 or more deals annually would get you into that top 1,000 category based on the data that we saw and studied. And then, of course, with real producers locally, we focus on the top 500, right? That group averaged just over 40 deals in that particular audience, which you're in, obviously, is that top 500 producers. And then when you really look at the elite people, like the top 100 in the market, and they average, I think it was 50. I just looked at this morning because I'm working on a couple things for my my community, but it was 54 transactions on average for the top 100 producers. So you got a couple. That's people, my next goal. Yeah, you got a couple people that are doing like 100 or 200 plus a year, right? Usually with teams, and they all might show up under one name on. That's not the case with Realty 54. Like your name shows up under your own information. Correct. And Joe's name isn't there, right? It's not like all of the data, but if you look at certain teams, it will just be the person's name, all the team volume and units show up under that person, right? Correct. So you have that in that top 100, but then you also have your luxury agents who might have did maybe 15 to 20 deals, but they're high price points. And so they still are in that average. But yeah, you look at that and it's like, it clarifies what my target should be and what do I need to kind of put a strategy around to get to 50 deals a year, maybe even 100 deals a year. There are individual agents who are doing over 100 deals a year in certain markets, including this one. And so that's a big part of what we want to try to help support and get more people, successfully hitting those levels within the Top Producers Nation. That's what this podcast is for. Our online community is for, and a bunch of other programs that we're really excited about. So I'll keep you posted on that. I'd love to have you come on. Absolutely. I'm here for it. We'll do a Tuesday training call with you one of these days. So we're going to put a bow here on the episode, Karina. And for people who watch, we always try to end with a call to action, right? So for somebody who is watching live or watching through any of the 15 plus podcast platforms that we're on, if you don't subscribe, by the way, just click that little button below. That way you are going to be notified every time a new episode drops, which is every week. You want to make sure you get those notifications so you can listen to these conversations with someone like Karina. But what's one thing that you can take from this conversation today with Karina that would allow you or propel you forward personally or professionally? If you could just do one thing
and take action on it, then that time would be worth it that you invested in listening to the show. But if you just sit on these different things and you're listening to podcasts, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you never actually take that action, you just miss out on a ton of the value of why we even do this to begin with. So maybe it's just something as simple as, get a little bit more clarity on your social media strategy, like Karina talked about today with stories and reels and her consistency with posting. You saw the impact that had just on her first year in business here in Tampa Bay and how she was able to get traction because of social media, right? Maybe there's an element there for you in tapping into your niche. Maybe you're still having a hard time even identifying your niche, like Karina has done somewhat naturally with her veterans and her military connections and background. 90+% of her business is through that resource. That's all you need is one good, niche that you can serve at a high level. She's been able to do that. What is it for you, right? What's one thing? Maybe it's a book recommendation or a podcast recommendation that Karina threw out there as well. But do something. Take action. And if you do, you'll be happy that you did. Check us out, of course, at topproducersnation.com to see more about the online community, how you can participate in that. And I would invite all of you to join us on our weekly webinar series, which is starting actually next week, that I'm really excited about. We will be running a weekly webinar on how to generate over $300K in GCI over the next 12 months without having to necessarily work 80+ hours a week or having 10+ years of experience in real estate. That's what our webinar will be focused on every single week. We'll be talking about the 4 principles of top producers on that webinar, and you can check that out, and there will be registration. All of that will be at topproducersnation.com. So we will see you, of course, on the next episode of Top Producers Nation podcast. We'll see you later.